So, cooking the books, is that what's going on?
No, absolutely not. We're committed to stopping the boats. But as we do that, it's also important that we get the Home Office's processes in place and get the backlog of asylum claims down. And we're making really, really strong progress in that regard. We've recruited far more asylum decision makers. Productivity is rising to levels we haven't seen for many years, and we expect to be uh, getting through the legacy backlog of cases as promised before the
So
end
where
of
are these
the year. The
6,000
particular
asylum? Where are these 6,000 missing asylum applications? Where have they gone?
Well, the point here is that we take a robust approach. We think that asylum is a privilege, and if you abuse it, you should be treated appropriately. And so, if somebody doesn't turn up to an interview or isn't compliant with the conditions of their asylum bail, then we withdraw their case and we pass the file to immigration enforcement, who will then prepare to remove that individual. We don't give people lots of second and third chances in that respect. I think what Labour, as far as I can tell, are suggesting is that we should keep offering people asylum over and over again, even if they don't turn up to interviews. That's wrong. If somebody doesn't turn up, if they're not compliant, then they should be removed from the country and their asylum claim withdrawn. And that's the approach that we've taken in recent months.
So let me be clear, just for the reason of missing an appointment, just once, just the first time, or could they give an excuse not to be there? They're struck off, basically. Is that right?
Well, it depends on the individual circumstances. If somebody has a legitimate reason for missing an asylum interview, then yes, of course, we will reschedule that. But if someone just doesn't turn up or doesn't respond to the letters and emails that they're sent by the Home Office team, if they're not compliant with the conditions, then it's quite right that their application is withdrawn and they're treated as non-compliant. Their file is passed to immigration enforcement, and we find and prepare to remove them from the country. As I say,
So,
we view
and is that the same as
asylum.
not filling out? Is that the same as not filling out a questionnaire? Is the same approach adopted there?
It is in many cases, yes, because that's part of the process. If somebody is a genuine asylum seeker, then clearly they would cooperate with the Home Office, work with us to find the answer to their case. And in many cases, that would be that they stay in the United Kingdom. But if they don't cooperate, then I'm afraid they will be removed, or their file will be passed to immigration enforcement and ultimately removed from the country. As I say, I think there's a fundamental difference of principle here. We believe that asylum is a privilege and it shouldn't be abused. I think from the Labour Party's suggestions, they view this as quite a different matter, where they want to keep helping time and again for individuals to make their claims so that eventually they are approved, and that's not the right way forward. We don't want.
Well, we put those, don't we, to Labour, those claims. Clearly, one of your priorities is to get the backlog down, but Labour is suggesting, and you might confirm or deny this, 2036 it will take to clear the existing backlogs. Never going to be as quickly as you want, is it?
Well, it is a challenge, but the Labour Party's stats are completely wrong. We made huge progress since Rishi Sunak became Prime Minister and I took over as Immigration Minister. We're seeing the legacy backlog fall very rapidly now, and the data that will be published in the normal way in the weeks ahead will demonstrate that. I'm confident that we will clear the legacy backlog by the end of the year. We have recruited the asylum decision makers that we said that we would, and productivity in the teams is rising. So a lot of really good work has been done. But here's the thing. I don't believe that you can grant your way out of this challenge. Getting processes to be efficient is important. That's something that I care passionately about and have invested a lot of time with Home Office staff to get right. But
So
the Labour Party,
2036, is that a fair
believe that
timescale then?
you could grant your way out.
You haven't suggested that 2036, is that a fair date, a fair year to have the current backlog cleared?
I have absolutely no idea where the Labour Party are getting these figures from. They seem completely fanciful. I'm confident that we will clear the legacy backlog by the end of this year. And so we're making really, really good progress. I can't understate that. The challenges that were found in the past, particularly during COVID, are being resolved, and the teams are working really well. As regards to
So by the end of this year, it will all be cleared, nobody left. Is that what you're saying?
well, the legacy backlog, which is all those individuals who entered the country before summer last year, that will be cleared, and we're moving beyond that very rapidly into the next set of cases. So, yeah, I think the situation with the backlog will look immeasurably different by the end of this year, thanks to good work by the Home Office over the course of this year. But the point I'm trying to make, which is I think the most important one, is that you can't grant your way out of this challenge. Granting, handling cases efficiently is important, but it's not sufficient.
All right.
You've got to have a
sorry,
serious
Mr. Jenrick. Let's move on to a couple of other points, if you wouldn't mind. Time, as always, is against us. The Bibby Stockholm barge. When are the first migrants going to be placed on there? Tomorrow?
We hope that the first migrants will go on the boat in the coming days. I'm not going to give you an exact date, but very soon. And
why not?
This will be an important step forwards.
Why can't you give me a date?
Because for security reasons, we prefer not to give the dates on which individuals arrive either on this barge or indeed at other sites. We don't routinely do that.
Well, you'll see people will see them going on, won't they? Unless there's some secretive way that they'll be parachuted onto the barge.
Well, there isn't, but we do care about the security of the individuals concerned and our staff, and so we don't routinely give out those dates. But it will be very soon.
Coming days this week, is it?
Yeah, we expect it to be in the coming days, so you won't have long to wait. And this is an important step forwards. Because
is it safe? Is this barge safe? We've heard so many concerns in recent days. Fire safety checks, that's been the main issue. And that is really what's held it up, the first arrivals. Can you guarantee their safety, the first people arriving? And how many people will go on to start with?
The number of people on the boat will be stepped up progressively because there's a new facility. And so, as you do with any one of this kind, you bring in a smaller cohort and then rapidly increase till you get the full complement of around 500 people. But I can absolutely assure you that this is a safe facility. And remember, this is something that's been used before by other governments, by oil and gas workers. If it's good enough for them, I'm pretty sure it's good enough for the migrants.
So around 50 people, is that a fair assessment of how many will first go on?
It's around that number. But I can just make this important point, I think, here, which is that barges of this kind are being used by many other European countries. They're being used by the Dutch, by the Belgians. The Irish are reported to be considering using them as well. The Scottish National Party used them in Scotland for Ukrainian refugees. So this isn't something that's particularly new. It's something that's routine and can be done successfully. It's a way of providing accommodation which is cheaper and much less impactful than the hotels, which we want to exit. And the sort of bleating from some parts of the left on this, it really reflects poorly on them because the public wants us.
All right, Mr. Jenrick, I just want to put one point to you, if you don't mind. Yeah, we get your point there. Sky News reported last week the Home Office had no data on people overstaying their visas for the past 3 years. What's going on there? Has the immigration system collapsed? Can't you keep track, or the Home Office keep track of the numbers?
No, that's not correct. We do obviously keep track of individuals who are overstaying their visas, and where that happens, we then seek to find them and to remove them from the country. And I'm pleased to say that removals from the UK are rising very significantly. This year, they did dip during COVID when we couldn't put on flights to remove people, but that's changed now. and a lot of good work has been done. So I expect to see a very strong 2023 for removals from the UK for those who've overstayed. And that's important because, of course, we want the UK to be a welcoming place for business, for students, for tourists to the United Kingdom. But it's not right that people overstay, and we need to take robust action against those who do.
So how many people have overstayed in the past 3 years then?
Well, it depends on which visa category you're referring to. Obviously, with the numbers of individuals who come to the UK every year for all of those different purposes, it's a significant proportion. But we're taking very strong action to stop that, and that's something that matters because we care about controlled migration and ensuring the integrity of our system.
So you don't know?
Well, I've not got the figures in front of me for each of the individual visa categories, if that's what you're asking. I don't want to misadvise you, but there's no evidence that the number of overstayers is materially increasing at the moment. And as I say, the thing that matters most is what happens when people do, and therefore returns. The figures are very positive. We're increasing the number of enforced returns from the UK for those people who've come here illegally or who have overstayed their visas. And those, I think, will increase again in the second half of this year, thanks to the good work that's being done by the Home Office and our agencies.
Mr. Jenrick, you say you're a compassionate government and presumably a compassionate man, yet you ordered the removal of the Mickey Mouse mural from this asylum centre in Kent. That's not very compassionate, is it? You have children. Would you feel, if they were to unfortunately end up in the same position, having certain rights taken away from them?
Well, I know that some parts of the media have been interested in this story, but I'll tell you what I think is compassionate. It's stopping the boats in the first place. I've seen children and families crossing the channel in small boats. I've met them when they first arrived in the United Kingdom. This is one of the most evil and pernicious trades that we see anywhere in the world today, and I want to stop it. That's why I'm working extremely hard to pass the right legislation, to put in place the right deterrent measures, to smash the people smuggling gangs in the first place. That is the measure of compassion, not the decoration of a particular centre in which people spend a few hours when they first arrive in the United Kingdom.
Mr. Jenrick, lovely to talk to you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much.